Wednesdays are all about the NBA, and Wednesdays are all about baseball. We are joined every Wednesday on the show by our friend Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com for the NBA Weekly. He'll join us coming up in about 10 minutes on the show. David Aardsma later on in the show, former big league reliever and closer, our MLB analyst. As SportsWrap goes inside baseball, we'll get some thoughts from him on a number of stories around MLB, and also a very cool assignment he's got coming up this weekend for ESPN that I want to ask him about as well. That's coming up a little later on in the show. Some news from the NFL in odds and ends. It is not good news if you are a Packers fan. We'll get to that too. But we start things out as we always do on this Wednesday edition of the show. It's time for the big story. And before we get to the big story, we got some big news. SportsWrap continues to grow. We're on over 260 TV cable stations around the country. We've got the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, all our digital channels on TikTok, SportsWrap Jason Page, on Instagram, SportsWrap Jason Page. As I mentioned, the YouTube channel where you can watch us every day, bonus clips of the show. Well, we're getting bigger. Proud to announce that SportsWrap is launching our Substack, The Daily Wrap. It's a newsletter that you can get with everything we talk about on the show every day in a newsletter form, easy to read for those on the go, and maybe you don't have time to watch the show every day. We appreciate it if you do, but if you don't, we've got the Daily Wrap available on Substack. I'll also be posting columns there as well. As many of you know, I'm a columnist over at MS Now, but we don't always get to write everything we want for MS Now, and I want to have another outlet to write and to post my thoughts on things, my opinions on certain topics. That will be available on the Daily Wrap. Again, on Substack, just look for SportsWrap Jason Page and go and check that out. Really excited to bring that to you. A new offering from us here at SportsWrap. All right, the big story. It has to be what took place last night in Oklahoma City. And to me, the big story of Game 5 of the NBA Finals, in a 2-2 series, the big story to me is how Victor Wembanyama was not involved early in this game. And not really involved throughout the entirety of the game. But particularly when you're trying to put your foot down, when you've got to get 2 of the next 3 in a best of 3 in a 2-2 series, how you could come out. And I know Julian Champagnie was hitting shots early on, and you want to get him going because he has struggled from 3 in this series. But how you go away from your superstar, your MVP, the choice that some people around basketball think should have been the MVP, how you completely ignore Victor Wembanyama over the first quarter and a half of this basketball game is bizarre. For a guy like Mitch Johnson, who looks like he's grown into the head coaching position that he inherited from Greg Popovich. As much as people want to talk about experience in this series, and everybody keeps falling back on well, they experienced enough, and you don't know what you don't know. And look, I've been the first one throughout the regular season to talk about this, but we're deep enough into the postseason now that I don't want to hear about the experience gap between San Antonio and Oklahoma City, or San Antonio and anybody they were playing in these playoffs. I don't want to hear about it, because I don't think it's the reason they win or lose in this postseason. The reason you don't win or lose is because of a mindset that says we're going to try and get other guys involved. And we're going to do that to the detriment of our biggest star, literally and figuratively, in this basketball game. You cannot go away from Wemby. Go and look at the 2 games that the Spurs won in this series. Look at Wemby's numbers when they win. Look at Wemby's numbers when they lose. It's not difficult to figure out, even for somebody like me, who's not the sharpest tool in the shed, right? I'm not coaching NBA teams. I'm not running a front office. You'd have to be an idiot not to know that the guy you've got to get involved early on and have engaged on every level on both sides of the ball is Victor Wembanyama. Conversely, if you watched the show on Tuesday, I said to Sam Yarnell, I think I said on Tuesday, it might have been Monday, Chet Holmgren keeps getting a pass for how bad he's been in this postseason. And particularly, not in this postseason, but in this series. Last night, what did the Thunder do? They got Chet Holmgren involved early on. And that's the difference in coaching. That's not experience in players. That's experience in coaching. That's Mark Daigneault getting arguably the second best player on his team, the guy that should be the second best player, the guy that should be the Robin to SGA's Batman, getting Chet Holmgren involved. And he had some nasty in him. And he's hitting shots. And he's engaged on both ends of the ball. And then you've got Isaiah Hartenstein doing what he does, embodying Wemby. And it just, you didn't have, every time the Spurs got close in this game, got it to 6, got it to 8, the Thunder basically pulled the Lucy and just pulled the football away. And they'd get it back up to 12 and 14. And it takes a lot to try and, on that spot on the road in that arena with that crowd, it takes a lot to try and constantly come back, even if you're a young team. And Spurs simply couldn't do it. And they come up short in this game, and now they're faced with the task of having to win the last 2 games of this series, with a Game 7 potentially in Oklahoma City. And by the way, I think it goes the full 7. I do think the Spurs win Game 6. And it's going to come down to a winner-take-all Game 7, and anything can happen in Game 7s, an officiating, a bad call here and there. But what I saw in Game 5 was very discouraging for me if I'm a Spurs fan. Not from a player standpoint, but from a coaching standpoint. We'll talk more about it with Kurt Helin on the other side. Welcome back to this Wednesday edition of the show. I've had my say in the big story. If it's Wednesday on SportsWrap, that can only mean one thing. It's the NBA Weekly with this guy, the one and only Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Can I embarrass you?
Sure.
Can I embarrass you? We didn't know if we'd have Kurt on today because Kurt did the one thing you shouldn't do with a computer, and that is spill a drink into it.
Yeah, no, I will take. It was my drink sitting next to my computer. It was the guy next to me who stood up and kind of swung his backpack to put it on in the shop, a little coffee shop, that whacked it and knocked it all over my computer. But yes, same principle. And the fine people at the coffee shop were all kind of shocked by the string of expletives that flew out of my mouth at that moment.
I can only imagine. All right. Listen, I don't know how. I watched that game last night, Spurs Thunder, Game 5. Check out the highlights as we discuss. Courtesy of our friends at NBC and Peacock. So I don't know how you can go from being so Wemby-centric in Game 4. I watched that game last night, and from the outset, it almost felt like they were making a concerted attempt, the Spurs, to not go to Wemby in the early going of this game, and I can't figure out why.
And not get him the ball near the rim.
Yes.
He was not. Look, when he's dangerous, and it sounds reductive because he can shoot threes and do all these other things, but he's got to start. Look, in Game 4, he had 10 shots at the rim, right? Like, if he's not getting shots right there, then he's not as dangerous. As good as he is at taking threes, and he's pretty good at, he's, good, especially for his size, but in generally, like, you've got to respect it. I'll take that. I will take that on most nights. And they just didn't. Part of that is the Spurs defense, which really dug down on him. Isaiah Hartenstein has physically defended him as well as I think any human being can in a series.
Agreed.
But they've got to find a way to get him rolling and get him confident. And if they all he looked tired, sick. I'm trying to decide what if you told me, if they came out today and said he had a cold or something, like, I'd buy it, because he just didn't, their whole team did not have the energy that you need in Game 5 is as desperate as it gets almost, right? Like
Yeah.
it's now they've got to win 2 in a row, and they've won 2 games this series when Wembanyama was brilliant. 41, the 32-point,
33,
33-point
yeah.
game in game 4, and he was moving the ball around and they were flying. He has to be the best guy on the floor for them to win. Everybody else has got to step up. There's other stuff, but that's where it's got to start. And he absolutely was not. And I expect different in game 6, but he's got to string 2 of these games together for them to advance. And I don't know if he's got that right now. I don't know. This is where, does it feel to you like this is where the experience kicks in?
No. I'm tired of hearing about the experience stuff.
Oh.
We're at game 5 of the Western. They've played 20 games in the postseason or 15 games in the postseason. They've played 82 games during the regular season. They're in the West, which is a beast of a conference. So I'm actually tired of hearing about the experience thing at this point. They roll the balls out on the court. The guys go out there and play. So I'm tired of hearing about the experience. I'm not. Now, maybe a little bit with Mitch Johnson, because it's his first time as a head coach in this spot. But I think once you get into the actual game and the flow of a basketball game, I think it's I'm not calling you lazy. Please don't take this way.
No, but
I think it's the easy fallback thing to keep leaning on when you can't explain something. And I'm not saying you, but I hear it when I hear it from Reggie Miller. And I'm like, come on, Reggie, you've played basketball for 100 years. You've watched the game. You've called the game. No, I don't want to hear about the experience thing.
I think there's something to just not being challenged like that night in, night out and now, in this series, every other night. And I think you get tested every night in a different way. You have to deal with the adjustments and the matchups, and they haven't in this game. In this game, the Spurs came out with the Thunder came out with a new plan without AJ Mitchell.
They did.
And part of it was also, look, they couldn't buy a 3 in game 4. They shot terribly, and their bench shot terribly, and that didn't happen in this game. They came out knocking them down, but they adjusted. They're like, all right, we got to get Wemby out of the paint, and they did a good job attacking the paint to get him in rotation, to get the ball moving. You saw more dunks in this game because they got him in a rotation out that even he couldn't recover from to the rim. That I thought that was great coaching by Dagnall, who has proven to be a great playoff coach. And now the Spurs have to adjust. And I don't know if there's time for them to adjust twice. Again, it's adjust twice. We're also, though, at that point in the series, and it's a cliche, but it's not wrong. There aren't many more adjustments. Like you now know everybody, you know everything. Now it's going to come down to will and a lot of things, and they didn't show it last night.
Jared McCain, explain to me how this. I know they have Edgecombe and Maxey. I get it.
Yeah.
But explain to me how this guy gets away from that organization when we have watched him be so vital to what the Thunder have been able to do. Not even just this series. In the playoffs, every time he's on the floor, the instant offense he provides. I didn't realize he was this good an offensive player as we've seen him in this series. He has been, I don't want to say a revelation, but to a lot of the country that may not have known him as well, a little bit on Jared McCain.
Right. Well, he was really impressive out of Duke. I mean, he went to Duke. This is a highly recruited guy.
Yeah.
You don't just get into Duke unless you're Adam Silver, apparently. No, you don't. Like, he was highly recruited. He's very good. And he had a really good rookie season on very bad team with Embiid out and guys just missing time. And they thought he was the future, but because of the bad season, they end up with VJ Edgecombe in the draft, and he was banged up, Maxey. Yeah. But let's be blunt. And I have made the Daryl Morey jokes. I made them online last night. Ownership came to Daryl Morey middle of last season, said, this team isn't good enough to pay the tax. Get us below. This was the single move that got them below the luxury tax and got them a pick that got them below the luxury tax. And that's the money savings. And that's the decision that was made. There might have been other ways. I'm sure there were other ways to do that. And looking back, maybe they would have liked to have taken one of those other paths right now, because I would rather have that 3-headed guard monster and have to figure out how it works.
Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. We'll talk about my Knicks and a whole bunch more going on around the NBA. It's the NBA Weekly on SportsWrap. NBA Weekly continues on SportsWrap. Kurt Helin hangs out with us. Pro basketball talk at NBCSports.com. It's the NBA Weekly. So let's talk about my Knicks.
I've come around.
Listen, you've come around, but I've been telling people this. I get interviewed every Monday on this classic rock station in Connecticut that loves to talk about sports on their morning show, and they always have me on every week, and they're like, so Knicks are going to win the NBA, and I'm like, pump the brakes. I said, if they get this, I had Bruce Beck on from NBC4 New York yesterday on the show. He's covered New York sports forever. I said, look, if they get the Spurs, I think they win the NBA championship. I do. I told you this before the season, before the postseason started. I have been very steadfast in my belief that everything in this postseason was matchup predicated for the Knicks. They got the perfect glide path to the NBA Finals by getting Philadelphia, not getting the Celtics, by getting Cleveland, not getting the Pistons. And if they get the Spurs, I think they win a championship. If they get the Thunder, I think they're out in 6 at best. I think it's a 6-game series. I don't think they match up well with that team. I don't care what they've done through the last 11 games of these playoffs, Kurt Helin. Yeah. The step up in class cannot be overstated if they get the Thunder in the NBA Finals.
Okay, I will end up picking the Thunder as well, whatever that is, but I think they've got a puncher's chance, especially against a Thunder team that will be without A.J. Mitchell. I'm hearing the calf is serious enough that if he's back in the finals, it's deeper in the run. We'll see about Jalen Williams. They keep calling him game to game, but that's the second time he's strained that left hamstring. Like that's not good. I think though, if they're 8 deep right now, because Landry Shamet has stepped up, because Deuce McBride is playing so good off the bench, they have really found a groove, and they found two things: a versatility in their offense where they can use Karl Anthony Towns as the hub. They couldn't really against Cleveland because Evan Mobley and Jared Allen make that very difficult. Those are two very good defensive big men. So they said, all right, well, let's just go back to hunting. Like, let's go back to the old school system and have Jalen Brunson hunt James Harden, but frankly, by the end, he's hunting Donovan Mitchell. He's hunting all of them and doing a great job. They have some offensive versatility. It's going to be harder against the Thunder or, frankly, the Spurs in that sense. There isn't a James Harden. There's nobody you can just like, that guy, I'm going at that guy. Like, you're going at the lesser evils, but there's no bad defenders on those teams until you get deep into the Isaiah Joe part of the bench or something.
It feels like that series is a very low-scoring series to me.
Yeah, I would agree that they're going to try to slow it down. They're going to try to. I think what they bring is a grit and a resilience that you're going to see. I will warn you though, for the bettors out there, I think Game 1 against either of those sides is going to be a little bit of a culture shock for the Knicks.
Yep.
Because the level of intensity being played in the West was just higher than anything they've seen, and that team is going to come in playing with a different level of energy. And I think the Knicks can get there. I think they can adjust, but that is going to be a moment one way or another.
Kurt, grit and resilience, that's the equivalent of she's got a great personality. I mean, that's what that is, Kurt. Let's be honest about it here for a second. Saying the Knicks have grit and resilience, and that's like saying, well, but she's got a great personality. I mean, that's kind of what it is, isn't it?
Look, I think you need that. Look, as somebody married for 23 years now, 24, 24 this year. Personality does matter, but is that what gets you, in the door at the first point? Probably, you're not, how should I put it, attracted when you see somebody across the room to their personality. Yeah. So they've got the talent, though. They've got Brunson's an elite scorer. Cat is playing. The other thing they're doing is playing really good defense. And they really kind of did it all year. They were 7th in the league in defense. But Mike Brown has turned them into, or helped keep them a very good defensive team. And Mike Brown is pushing all the right buttons, by the way.
He is.
A guy, by the way, who took the Cavs to the finals, has been there with the Warriors when he got forced into the big chair in the playoffs when Kerr's back was bothering him years ago, did all that. And by the way, Mike Brown's best coaching job Sacramento Kings have been to the playoffs once in the last 20 years, and it was when Mike Brown was the coach, with De'Aaron Fox, by the way, from the Spurs. He's a good coach, man, and they'll make good adjustments.
Move away from the Knicks for a second. Cavaliers are reportedly keeping Kenny Atkinson. Is it because nobody they really want to get wants the job, knowing that James Harden is there and sort of the uncertainty of what comes next for this franchise? Or do they actually believe Atkinson's the guy? Because after this playoff run, I mean, my God, the Knicks got rid of Tom Thibodeau last year after a trip to the conference semifinals. You're telling me you can't do the same with Kenny Atkinson with some of the names that are sitting out there still?
That's a very good analogy. He was coach of the year a year ago. Remember, they had won 64 games, and he helped turn them around. I don't know that
I watched George Karl and Mike Malone be coaches of the year too, and one of them won a championship and is out of a job coaching at North Carolina. Yeah. So I don't think they think there's going to be anybody better sitting there. I think that that's part of it. But also, to your point about the job, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. In their postseason. Look, there's no way James Harden gets traded there without a preset agreement on him. The expectation is he foregoes next year's contract. He gets out of his player option for, I think it's 42, 43, whatever it is, and takes like 2 years at 30. He helps them out a little bit financially because they're up there so high. Like the East jumps up a notch next year. And if you run it back with these Cavaliers, I don't know where you go, but I also... The other option is a pretty dramatic teardown, and I don't think they're willing to go there. Before I let you go, the lottery. What's going on? What's going on with lottery reform here?
Within the next 48 hours, the owners are voting on this, and by all indications, they are going to approve a version of this 3-2-1 lottery system that completely flattens the odds. In fact, if you finish in the bottom three, you have worse odds than if you're in 4 through 10. The quote unquote relegation zone, which is a term I hate because it's not relegation. That's nobody's getting sent to the G League out of this. But I think it will be effective in the goal the NBA has set out for it if it gets approved, which is reducing tanking. But I think it has unintended consequences that are coming hard. And the first one of those is going to be when you flatten the odds. If you did that this year, Golden State would have had the same odds as the number one pick as Washington if you did that this year.
Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. He does a great job. I always appreciate him. I might have a couple extra questions, which we'll throw into the YouTube portion of the show as well. Always appreciate you, my friend. Thank you.
Love to be here, man.
We love Wednesdays on SportsWrap because we get to talk to Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com and the NBA Weekly, but also because we get to talk to this guy. SportsWrap goes inside baseball with the one and only David Aardsma.
There's no flopping on this show.
There is no flopping on this show. Absolutely not.
My God. How do you watch the NBA now? I don't get it.
I have to say, though, the officiating in the postseason has been much different than it is during the regular season. And there's a couple of instances where you're scratching your head. But there's been a lot more contact on SGA that has not been called.
I'll say this. That is absolutely true. And it's not going to just happen overnight.
Yes.
What they need to start doing is calling him on fouls.
Yeah.
If he's flopping, and start making
they
real
have
changes.
An anti-flopping rule, and the league doesn't apply it. So I don't even know why they have it. I agree. Anyways, it's right. What's the dumbest thing you ever did after striking out a batter?
Oh, I did a triple suck it sign.
You
right
did?
to the dugout. No, of course not.
Jesus.
No. I probably felt a little too good about myself and then gave up a bomb next.
Abner Uribe, ladies and gentlemen, embarrassing himself, his team, the organization, the sport. I mean, who pulls him aside? Is it the manager in that spot? Is it Christian Yelich? Like, somebody's pulling him aside, right?
Yes. And one of the veterans generally would pull him aside. If not the manager. The problem is there's going to be a list of people because you did it so obviously on national TV. Like it's just so clear. It wasn't even like trying to hide it. there'll probably be a long list of players. Generally, you start with the veterans that will grab them and say something. But hopefully, in a really good clubhouse, which I think Milwaukee and generally has a very well run clubhouse and like system, the veterans should handle it, and that should be it. Like, it should never get to anywhere else. The problem is there will be a media conversation about it. There will be something else. So it doesn't end with a veteran saying something. It's going to end with him having to talk to media.
The Cubs how do you explain the Cubs? They've lost 10 in a row. How do you explain the Cubs? Is it simply the curse of PCA telling a woman to perform a sexual act on him? When she's heckling him from behind the stands or behind the wall in the outfield. How do you explain this Cubs team that clearly has talent? Now with this 10-game losing streak, we've seen the best of them and the worst of them, and it's only taken like 55 games.
And then they still have like a positive run differential. They're just playing bad baseball at the bad time, playing against the fact you're losing to the White Sox, losing a series of White Sox, Astros, Pirates, you're playing, some teams that you should be beating too. And it's not like they're playing nobody's. It's pretty much everybody's kind of had their piece of the Cubs right now. You know what? When one thing's going wrong, everything's going wrong, and is really what it is. And when you have a team like this, you hit these streaks in the middle of the season, you have these spots where everything is just, there's nothing you can do about it. And they are full on hitting every single bad stride. They can't hit. Second to worst in the league in OPS in the last 15 games. They're not pitching well. It's, what I always say is like, keep your mouth shut when you're yelling at fans. Don't get it straight on camera. They're the worst ERA, the third worst ERA in the last 15 games. When there's nothing like this going well, you got to shake something up a little bit. And I don't know what you do with the Cubs, and they still have a winning record. How do you do that and still have a winning record?
It's hard to do.
And they're last place in the Central, and they still have a winning record, and they're still having a streak like this.
Speaking of that Central, of all the years for the Pirates to finally be playing good baseball, they'd be in first place if they were in the AL West, and they're 29-26. It's really early to be talking about the trade deadline. But looking at the Pirates in that division, where you're, 6 games back on the loss side of Milwaukee, the wild card is this whole mishmash of a ton of teams. After you talk about, the division leaders, you start looking at the wild card. If you're the Pirates, is it slow and steady wins the race? Can you do that with this fan base that is so starved to get back to the postseason? Or are they going to have to make moves at the deadline?
Have to make moves at the deadline. Have to make moves. Slow and steady. They have had a lot of slow and steady. Like this team has been told, like the fan base has been told for years. Slow and steady. Yeah. You have the starting pitching staff. Right now that lineup is putting stuff together, playing well. But I need another bat in that lineup, and I definitely need some bullpen help. They're middle of the pack in bullpen. They're top in hitting, top in starting pitching. They're middle of the pack in bullpen. And so you can't go through a whole season like that, especially in bullpen with, this day and age, the amount of times we go to the bullpen and use guys in all different types of situations. You need one more back of the end closer type guy or somebody in that type of situation that can just dominate games. Gregory Soto is a great name. He's doing well. They got some other guys doing well, but you need somebody that can just dominate. And I say you need one more just veteran bat. One guy, in that lineup that can you can just depend on kind of every single day. I don't know where you get it, but they should have enough prospects to be able to trade around and do something.
David Aardsma is hanging out with us. I want to ask him a question about one more team in the National League, and I want to get over to the AL, where the Tampa Bay Rays just continue to be the Tampa Bay Rays and sort of dominating in the American League. And I also want to ask him about a very cool assignment he's got coming up this weekend for ESPN, which he'll tell us about as well. I'm Jason Page, hanging out with my man David Aardsma as Sports Wrap goes inside baseball. Don't go anywhere. All right, continuing with my man David Aardsma. Sports Wrap going inside baseball every Wednesday here on the show. And while we talk Major League Baseball, there is this thing called college baseball and the College Baseball World Series, which if Sam Yarnell were here right now, he'd be jumping up and down going, me, because he loves talking college baseball. Nobody loves college baseball that I know of more than Sam Yarnell. Apparently, David Aardsma likes it too because he's going to be working the ESPN broadcasts of the College Baseball World Series, and he's going to the region where my beloved Yale Bulldogs will be in Eugene, Oregon. So tell me, you're going to be doing the College Baseball World Series. Congratulations!
Want to be doing the regional?
Yeah, that's
cool. I wish
cool.
I'd be doing the actual
Not
World
the
Series.
World Series, but the tournament.
I'll be there. I'm going to be on the broadcast during the World Series. I already have that set up because we're going to be at the games. But yes, the regional in Eugene, Oregon, Oregon Ducks are hosting the regional against Oregon State, Washington State, and then Yale, the old Pac-12 kind of like rematch. And it's going to be an amazing regional, especially with Oregon State, those two teams top 20 in the country. You know,
and you got a tie, and you actually have a tie. A kind of cool story you were telling me off air about the starting pitcher for Yale, who's going to go for them in this regional. You actually have a tie to him. Explain.
Yes, Will Oman's son, Jack Oman, is the starting pitcher, number one starter at Yale. Last year, actually led all of NCAA in ERA, freshman All-American, all that fun stuff from here in Phoenix, Brophy Prep here in Phoenix, but known him since he was born. And so he's going to be up there at game one starter for Yale, and Will's going to the games, and he's coaching an independent league, but they're going to give him some time off to come to the games. It's going to be an incredible environment.
It really is. I grew up 15 minutes from Yale Bowl, which is right across the street from Yale Field. I was a bat boy for the New Haven Ravens, who were the AA affiliate of the Colorado Rockies, who played at Yale Field.
That's
and
cool.
Some of the greatest names, both in and out of baseball, have come through Yale Field, which is an amazing venue still to this day. It's one of the oldest ballparks anywhere in America. If you're ever in Connecticut, go and swing by there. Very cool venue. Congrats on the assignment for ESPN. It just means I'm going to have to pay you even more than we're already paying you to get you on the show in the future. All right. One more out of the National League, and then I want to get to the AL real quick. The Nationals. Are they the biggest surprise right now in baseball at 29-27?
You know what? I would say this. They're one of the biggest surprises, only because last year it was a letdown. I'm going to be honest about it. I think they had so many guys coming up. Everybody thought they were going to, from all the massive trades that they had been making in the past, that I thought they were going to be a better team last year. I thought they were going to be more of this at this point last year. Still, what it is you're seeing them at 29, 27. And really that's jumping out because the Mets are so bad and the Phillies are so bad and the Braves obviously are the Braves right now. But that's what's jumping out at you is because they're in second place, not necessarily 29, 27. That's basically a game, that's a run or two versus being 500. It's that this is what I expected last year. And now they're here. And are they 1 year behind? Probably. They can definitely improve and play better baseball. I fully expect the Mets at some point, hopefully, to catch them, and the Phillies for sure to catch them.
The wild card in the National League, by the way, is every bit of that. Because you have the Padres at 23 losses, the Phillies at 27. That's 8 teams that are going to be fighting for 3 spots from 31-23 to 28-27. I mean, and again, it's early. Some of this will work itself out in the wash.
And that's still the Mets. The Mets are on the outside of that, which is crazy. The Giants are on the outside of that. Both those teams could easily jump into that conversation at some point.
The Giants, I don't know about the Giants.
What I'm saying, though, is they have the players. They have the resources. They have everything around it. You're just wondering, is it going to happen or not? But there's nothing. It's not the Rockies. There's nothing stopping them from getting back in besides themselves.
We talked about the AL Central quite a bit in these conversations that we have every week. The Guardians have sort of separated themselves from the pack a little bit now at 32 and 25. They are 2 games better than the White Sox, who are hanging in there 54 games into the season. I don't know how sustainable that is with a minus 17 run differential. The true story to me is still what's going on in the AL East with the Rays at 34 and 18. Best record in the American League, second best record in all of baseball right now. David Aardsma. Do you eventually expect the Yankees, now they get Garrett Cole back, that the Yankees will catch the Rays? Or do you think this thing is sustainable enough that the Rays actually win the division?
I think the Rays are sustainable enough to win the division, but for me, it's completely independent of each other. I could care less if I'm the Yankees. There was a day and age where you had to win the division to be a serious World Series contender. Now I don't really care. As long as I'm the number 1 wildcard team, I don't think it really even matters. I think it actually helps to not necessarily be the top dog in all the divisions. So the Rays, without a doubt, are sustainable. Number 1 starting pitching staff. We know that's always been a thing for them. That's sustainable. They have one of the best offenses in baseball, and what they're doing and what they've done is learned their offense so well that they're just executing. They're not trying to be anything that they're not. Get them over, cause trouble, maybe hit a bomb here and there with Junior Caminero and see what happens. They what's funny is they've always been really good in the bullpen. Now they need bullpen help, and they brought in Craig Kimbrell. That's not going to be long-term solution, especially in the playoffs. We've seen when that ends. But if they go out, if they find a guy, I'm not going to say they're going to go out and go get one,
right.
But if they find a guy from the minor leagues and bring him up, and he ends up being the next big dog in the bullpen, this team's going to even get better.
David Aardsma, catch him on the regional side of the College Baseball World Series. The game's over in Eugene, Oregon. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Wednesday. I want to thank you for hanging out with us. Dennis Bernstein usually joins us on Thursdays to talk hockey, which we will touch on here in just a moment in Odds and Ends. Before we go, a couple of reminders. Sports Wrap with Jason Page, the podcast. If you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? It is the Monday through Friday version of this show in its audio form. Mostly commercial free. It's only about a 45-minute podcast. Go and check it out. Great while you're driving to work, on the way home from work, on the treadmill at the gym, while you're on a plane, if you got to sit at the airport. Check out the podcast, the audio podcast. Subscribe today. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place to find all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show, available there for you, commercial-free, 45 minutes waiting there early each afternoon. A lot of times you could actually catch it there before you even catch it on television. The TV version of the show, available on our YouTube channel. Extended conversations are there. Sometimes we have bonus questions for our guests. We put that into the YouTube channel in the extended conversations there. So make sure to go and check that out. Sports Wrap Shorts also available there. 1 to 3 minute long vertical videos covering the top stories of the day, biggest games every night. Check out Sports Wrap Shorts as well. When news breaks, we like to make sure we jump in on YouTube and provide that with Sports Wrap Shorts. Sports Wrap Shorts also available on our TikTok, Sports Wrap Jason Page, and on our Instagram as well, Sports Wrap Jason Page, the same name. And without any further delay on this Wednesday edition of the show, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, not good news if you are a Packers fan. Alleged assault for Josh Jacobs, their running back. He's in a bit of trouble. Arrested by authorities. It's a domestic dispute. There are mugshots. There is information. You can go and check it out for yourself, but it doesn't look good for Josh Jacobs. We'll obviously continue to monitor the situation. The NFL says it's in touch with the Packers on it, but an alleged domestic dispute between Josh Jacobs and a woman. We'll obviously let you know as details sort of develop on that front, but not good news for the Packers and their starting running back, Josh Jacobs. Travis Kelce in the news. Did you hear about this one? Man, he's a busy guy. Getting married this year to one Taylor Swift. Everybody's taking bets. I think Kelce has, the prediction market Kelce has a thing on whether it's going to be in New York or whether it's going to be in Rhode Island. New York is the favorite right now. But Travis Kelce, the Chiefs tight end, has purchased a minority stake in the Cleveland Guardians, interestingly enough. So congratulations to the Cleveland Heights native, Travis Kelce, already looking at life beyond the NFL while he's still playing in the NFL. Tells you a little bit about sort of where his head is at. Even as we're talking about off-season workouts and Patrick Mahomes and whether he's going to be able to play, interesting to note that Travis Kelce is already starting to focus on life after football. But congratulations to him. It's a cool business deal for him to be a minority owner of the Cleveland Guardians. Odds and ends, it's all over. The end is here for the Colorado Avalanche. Who had them getting swept by the Las Vegas Golden Knights? I told you all a couple of weeks ago, when you could get the Golden Knights at 10-1 to win the Stanley Cup, that was the bet to make. I was right here waving my arms around telling you to take that bet. Well, they're now in the Stanley Cup Finals against either the Carolina Hurricanes or the Montreal Canadiens after a sweep of the Avalanche, wrapping it up in 4 games on Tuesday night in Las Vegas. Third trip to the Stanley Cup Finals. This franchise has only been around for like 5 minutes. You want to talk about the ways to build a franchise? Congratulations to Bill Foley and company. They have done it the right way here in Las Vegas, where we are based, where we do the show every day. So congratulations to the Golden Knights. Odds and ends, sadly, the end for Bob Horner, who has passed away at the age of 68. And this is kind of a crazy story on this Bob Horner thing, who passed away at the age of 68. I bring it up because he was 1978 NL Rookie of the Year. And recently, I had a trip to, my husband and I like to go to Dave & Buster's from time to time. And we went to Dave & Buster's, and I won a bunch of tickets, and it made me eligible for a prize. And the prize was this mystery box. And you might remember I opened this on the show several months back. And it was a mystery box for an autographed baseball. And the autographed baseball, you're not going to be able to see it very well, but I'll put a picture of it on the screen. The baseball was a Bob Horner autographed baseball, and it's autographed 78 NL Rookie of the Year. And now it's become a little bit more of a prized possession of mine, given the fact that we find out today he's passed away. You're watching highlights of him hitting 4 home runs in 1 game, by the way. Something that's only been done a handful of times in the history of baseball. Bob Horner passing away, that announced on Wednesday morning at the age of 68. Rest in peace. And that will do it for us on this Wednesday edition of the show. Sam Yarnell returns tomorrow. Dennis Bernstein will be here to talk about the NHL as well. I am Jason Page. Make sure to check out our new Substack, The Daily Wrap. We'll have columns there as well. Make sure to go and subscribe to that. Otherwise, we'll catch you back here tomorrow for an all-new edition of Sports Wrap. Until then, goodbye.